live. See anybody's here tonight. Um, just got on. Weather's been kind of, I don't know what your situation is like, depends on where you live, dealing with different weather. But anyway, lot to get into, a lot to talk about. Um, of course, the big news was LSU last night and Iowa and Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Now, Clark did her thing. Can't even argue with it. Um, she had a great game. They beat LSU was the champs, and everything is look like it's set up for, Caitlin Clark to go on to the next round. I just have a problem with the racial dynamic of it because I think it's a bit more sinister and a bit much more. Um, it's not that I have a problem with how you win, but it's the way media's been on about it. And some people, I had one of my regulars who wrote me and uh, told me they compared it to Magic and Bird, and I'm gonna do a video about that. No, it was black and white in LA and Boston. I understand all the racial ramifications, but this felt more sinister. Um, I guess because I looked at Magic Johnson as pretty much go along, get along. He wasn't really a racial threat. Angel Reese is like a racial threat. Clark is like the Larry Bird type, even though she's living off of Steph Curry. Now, let me say this again. Larry Bird always said he didn't feel he was worthy if he wasn't guarded by a black man. Caitlin Clark's whole thing is based on Steph Curry, the outside shooting. So, um, it's one of those things that people are talking about it, but it's a situation where it's pretty serious in the sense that you usually don't see a white woman, a black woman, where it's so um, a real tug going on right here. This is really taking on a whole different dynamic, and there becomes a fine line between sportsmanship, but also the fact of respect. And remember, I don't think that if Angel Reese was trying to break through and win, that she had a won and the shoe was on the other foot, that they would have been so, high would have been. But these are college young women. So I got nothing to do with that. I don't know who you are and Laban and Bon. I don't know what that mean in English. You sound like a troll, though. I'll give you another chance to correct it because I don't be singing no song like that. But anyway, you never know what comes on here anyway. It's hilarious. I don't really sing no songs, especially where I'm at, because it's kind of chilly. I need some sunshine. I don't sing no songs about that cat though. But anyway, we gonna see. But anyway, it's brought a real interesting divide. Um, how some people view it. Um, you know, um, I've never quite seen anything like this though. So I would like to hear some perspective on what people think about this. But anyway, we'll hear what this goes on. And like I said, I'll see what people are coming on. Okay, we're going to have to just take you out because I can't be dealing with this. I mean, I need some real people up in here. Can't have no spam. So, yeah. you know. So let's see who's coming through. I see some people on, but I don't see no one talking, and I can't be having people that are trolling. Nobody talking about you my sunshine. But anyway, yeah, I'd like to get some feedback about what you think. Wouldn't it be something if Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese were teammates or something? Wouldn't it be interesting? Yeah. But there's a lot of hate going on with this though. Yeah. It's funny how that works because there's the buddy buddy cop thing. But then when they have people real different, you know. So yeah, we're gonna see what's up here. I'm gonna be here for a minute till somebody comes through. So I'm here real quick. And what's up? Oh, here you go again. I hadn't even noticed you were on. Okay. Of course, I know the Ozzy Brothers. How do you think I am? I don't want to see no video about no extortion video. Just we can talk right here. I just told you what to do. And as far as this thing about the Ozzy Brothers, yes, yes, yes. Come on now. Do I look like I just turned 17 or something? I have done videos on the Ozzy Brothers. I go back with the Ozzy Brothers. As a matter of fact, I've done one of my short videos. I've talked about them extensively. What's up? What's up, man? How you doing? Good. I had somebody come through. What's up? So I just got through doing my videos and stuff, and yeah, let's talk. I did. I'm doing that whole thing was. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I got some feedback on that too. Yeah, Kat was saying to me, talking about, oh, does that equate to rings? Well, I said Paul Pierce got a ring. I said Jason Tatum wish he had one. I said if Jason Tatum had what Paul Pierce had, then I think Jason Tatum would definitely get a league MVP, be a token one. But I definitely think him and Jalen Brown would be considered as some kind of dynamic duo. I do. Lord knows the NBA would love that. Yeah, I'd give Pierce that. But it's a very this is a touchy thing because he ain't as great as he thinks he is, but he great enough to get you a ring. He knows how to win. He would win. Oh, shoot, let me tell you something right now. If Dirk had Luke and Kyrie, they would be better for it. And I ain't stutter. Now, let me tell you like this. My take, since you went there. Tatum is a better scorer than Paul. Jalen Brown is a better scorer than Paul. Luka is a better all around option situation than Dirk. Kyrie can be a better option. But when we talking about putting you on your back to finish it up, to get the chip, to do the whole thing, and put them points up, it might not be the prettiest thing, but they did the thing. That's the difference. See, if Paul spent his time trying to do like Jason Tatum inside out and all that, and if Dirk did what Luca does all around and all that, no, Tatum can score. Tatum's problem is that when he goes cold, he goes cold. And his other problem is he isn't cut to take that charge. See, what I'm talking about is leadership and leading. I'm not talking about, no, because listen, Jason Tatum can score. Stats he can put up. He can go crazy. But the problem is, there's two problems he runs into. Sometimes he does too much and then he burns out, or he doesn't know how a plan B. Because Pierce could play defense too. Remember against Kobe in 08 in the finals? I think I ain't got to talk about it no more. Dirk knew how to adjust his game. Luke gives you better stats, but Dirk knew how to finish and give you stats. It's a different ball game. Depends on what you're looking for. See, and the problem with these guys is that when I look at Luka and I look at Tatum, right, it's similar to Kobe. I mean, not Kobe. It's similar to LeBron. But see, LeBron masked it better because he had a Dwayne Wade. He had, he's had other people to mask him, and then he comes out looking good. Guys can't do it. Well, I mean, if I'm going to talk about it, it's going to be the 60s and the early 80s. That's the ones. I mean, the Russell runs and then the Bird runs in the 80s. Those are the best. I can't really say with the Russell ones because they dominated so much and they were incredible. Bird's era, I'd say probably the most memorable, if I'm going to be honest, is probably 84 through 86. If I'm honest. Or is it, they lost in 87. So I say they went 3 straight years or 4. Was it 4? Something like that. They had a nice run. They had a nice run. So I say 84 through 87. Yeah. Anything in the 80s, you know that. That go without saying. And then I'd say 00 through 02. And then the 72 Lakers, was incredible. But I'd say once in the 70s. The 80s, I would say no, for me, because you got to remember when I grew up watching. See, and I'm gonna be honest with you. The thing about 09, 010, I liked 2009. That I liked the way they beat Orlando. Kobe looked probably his best finals in terms of the thing. The 2010, because I knew that was gonna be it. I knew that was gonna be it. I just knew it was too much wear and tear. But with him and Shaq, that was special because they was dominant. You ask me what's my favorite. I go by dominance. I don't go by just because you won. I'm talking about dominance. They weren't dominant in 09 and 2010 to me. 2008 to 10, they look like really good to maybe to near great. But I wasn't blown away. It doesn't have the same lure as that first with Shaq and Kobe. It just doesn't. It doesn't to me. And it took every ounce of him in 2010 to get the chip. He was spent after that one for Kobe. But in the 80s, where do I start? I'd say 85 through 88 was their peak prime. They won 2 rings before that, both against Philly, but that 85 through 88, when they beat Boston twice and Detroit, they were really looking special. And it was showtime. It was fun. It was a good game, but it's marred in a lot of racial tension. and there's a lot of, but also at the same time, it's probably more honest than what you get with the men's side, if I'm honest. And it's nice to actually have a rival, even though I still have a hard time accepting rivals anymore. I really do, because I just don't look at stuff as rivalry anymore. Because sports today doesn't really loan itself to rivals because of the money and the marketing. It's hard for me to actually sit there and accept that, because I remember when teams really hate each other. And you still got some resentment, but I'm talking about when they really hate each other. Yeah. So, of course I do. Of course I do. I don't know who you are, but if you've ever follow anything I do, I'm a big Sinatra fan. He's one of the most important popular figures ever. I put him on the same mantle as I do from I took a Quincy Jones once said there were four people who the Rushmore popular, pop movement: Sinatra, Elvis, the Beatles, and Michael Jackson. So yes. Oh yeah, I had to go at her. I had to go after her. I did my research, and then I told you what I came across last night. So she was on the cards, and I had to talk about it. It cracked me up, but some people will take her back, but she gonna come at a discount though. Yeah, well, it depends on how old you are, because that song was predated Married with Children. Love and Marriage is a song he had did back in the 60s remake. So when Love and Married with Children came out late 80s, so it had been sitting there for almost 25, 30 years. They just used his song, that's all. But yeah, Sinatra was around forever and a day, forever and a day. Well, I told you what I don't know if you heard. I think I shared it with you yesterday. Well, he just, I mean, I think she knew. I don't think she's shocked. I don't think she was exactly. I don't think she went go grabbing through the grapes and they didn't come off kind of rubbery or silky. I think she knew. You know, I think she knew. But she knew. Let me tell you something. When you're trying to climb up that ladder, you'd be surprised how people make subtle and not so subtle situations with certain people. She ain't the only one. It's like I don't know if you ever seen the movie How Stella Got a Groove Back. You ever seen that one? She only quitting because she's got a lot of lawsuits against her. She ain't quitting because she wants to quit, and she ain't gonna quit. She owes that industry money. You think they give them Grammys away and all that stuff, all that hype away? Spent money on her behind. What happened was the surviving Lizzo was coming and hit you like a blimpo. That's what happened. Her butt owes some money, and she been having to settle out of court because she been she been putting her been touchy feely. I don't know if you heard about that. That came out about a year ago. And Lizzo just fronting. But anyway, if you seen how Stella got a groove back, let me know, and I'll tell you a story about. Uh, oh God, what's her name? Why my brain? Hate it when my brain don't be. Because it was about the writer. She did that. Stella got a groove back. Okay, so Terry McMillan. Okay, came out in 97, 98. You were too young, and again, I don't know if your mother had watched that, but anyway, you ever get a chance? Tay Diggs did the movie. It was with Angela Bassett and Whoopi Goldberg was in it. The real Terry McMillan don't look like Angela Bassett, but anyway, that's not the point. Okay, okay, cool. Well, still wouldn't have been your thing, but man, look, I watched anything. I mean, movie come on, yeah, sure, whatever. And of course, I had bought Terry McMillan books. I read her stuff, but anyway, Terry home team, yo. When she experimented. What was she experiment with? Was it with Tracy Chapman or was Allison Walker did that? But Terry McMillan did something. But anyway, her husband, her ex-husband, Terry McMillan's the one that Stella got a groove back when she went there on the islands and got the cat off of Jamaica, right? He had a lot of tang in his tang, okay? A lot of tang. And I saw them on some show, and it's like, I'm like, what you were walking around with Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder glasses on? You didn't see this dude was like tang? I mean, dude was tang. So, and then he came out and admitted, but I'm like, think she just married him as I guess as a trophy husband or something. I don't know, but he was real tang. So anyway, that's what I'm calling about with that. So it happens. They do some stuff. And Candace from the islands too, so Caribbean a bit. But anyway, yeah, Lizzo, yeah, it's all on the. You can look it up. They ain't talked about that, but yeah, they had some real dirt on her about a year ago. Now the trip out thing about her, she was a violin player, and Prince had a hand in her. Well, not a hand literally, because she's too big for him. But but I'm just saying. But she got a lot of funny stuff with her. Love that album. Yeah. Everything coming on. Yeah, it's it's like it's funny because like all that stuff was around that time, and Janet Jackson had a song with Shaggy, and it was featured in the soundtrack. I can't think of that corny song now, but that was out right then. Yeah, Prince didn't. Well, Prince helped her out, and he helped out Dana Lee. Remember Dana Lee, the light skinned one that's out now? He helped her out too, but she sucks too. And hmm, Kenny Lofton, but it's yup. She, I don't really see the hype with her. But Prince had a chance with her back in the day. He probably would have put some song with her and blew her up. But I don't know. I don't know. She still look good, and still got Lenny Kravitz sprung as you speak. Because Lenny would take her back like quicker than you can say, yeah, 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 yeah. Because you know how Lenny does that? Go, yeah, 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 yeah. Quicker than you can do that, he would. He ain't, but yeah, the only thing about her is that I don't think, I don't know what her destiny was though. Zoe is nice looking, and I saw her at the Hollywood Walk of Fame with her daddy and Denzel. But she look good. She all right, but she's got that Stacey Dash in her, and she's a she's a valley girl, and I'm not really that blown away by her talent. Yep, but it's kind of be expected though. I mean, Lenny's kind of all over the place. He's had a very crossover life. Well, it's kind of like, yeah, when he came out and said that he couldn't get invited to no black award shows, and I'm like, I did a video about it and I talked about it. I'm like, you ain't never geared yourself towards stuff, and you was the black rocker, wow, bohemian brother. So when did we know that that's where you were? You know, so yeah, he just tripping. I mean, like he could do what he want pretty much. You know, no, he's been awake. I mean, he's aware. It's not that he ain't aware. It's just a little game he play. I don't think he's not aware, but let's just say she got raised differently. Yeah, she got raised differently. He got raised in the upscale too, but a little bit different though. I mean, he talked about certain things, but he kind of dabs a little bit. But I do think he's kind of changed a little bit though, because he ain't as playing that way a role as he did in the '90s. So, but he's one of those kind of people. I follow him. I'm aware of him, but then I don't some of his music because I was more tolerant of him 30 years ago. Oh, well, thank you. And then, I remember it like yesterday. My grandma and I were coming back from church, and I thought it was an April Fool's joke. Cats come running in the streets. Because you got to remember, there was no social media. She said, "Mom, gay. Dead." I'm like, what y'all talking about? Some April Fool's joke. And then a couple of hours later, there was the body bag, and it was like, that was surreal. And it had this real strange, ominous tone, which it threw me for a loop. If I had to say there was anything, it's hard to say this because I really can't. I think as a live showman, I don't think he quite got his due. He had a little basic thing he did, little he snap his fingers and move, but he really had presence on stage. I think that was kind of underrated because he was talented as all get out, but I don't think his livemanship. Oh, this is gonna be wow. What do I say? I think how connected he was to the music, and I have to say that because there are people who say, "Well, he just entertainer, he just in that." No, he really with his leg movements, kind of like James Brown, where he would kick, he danced in syncopation with the rhythm of the music. He really was in syncopation with the music. Even when he was doing slow songs, his syncopation with it was like uncanny. It's like he felt the spirit of it. And that's an incredible talent he had. Because he ain't just snapping his fingers and counting off 1, 2, 3. He really was using that as another form of an instrument. So when he does his footwork, they're playing off the drums, they're playing off the guitar, the bass, the keyboard. It's playing off of all that. So it's like he's cueing the band, but he's cueing himself. So it's an instinctive rhythm he had. And I don't think that ever got talked about enough because he was very in tune and a meticulous cat, too. I've seen some of his rehearsals and some of the stuff he did, and he was very in tune to where everything was at. And people take that for granted because they let the facade, and he was very much aware of what he was doing. More detailed than he gets credit for, especially being because a lot of people will say, well, Quincy Jones and all that. And Barry, I think the way he could counter music, like he would have two guitars or different strings or things, and then he utilized it to his voice and utilized it to what he was doing. It was something harmonious about how he was able to pull it off. Even Marvin Gaye said how he was haunted by Barry White because he had such a distinctive flair. Um, his arrangements. I don't think people really understand how complex he was and how raw he was. Because when you listen to a song like Shaft with the guitar, and then you got the got the instrumentation, that how it just kind of like connects so much. So it's just you know that's the thing about him that blew me away. Um, I'll say it again, her scary versatility, because you couldn't really teach that. You really either have it intuitively or you don't. Her musical instincts were so distinctive that they just connected. Um, she was really versatile. I think with her, it's her ability to do the remixes. I think that's her most because she can actually gives it another life. Sometimes I'm not really feeling most of her stuff, but you get a remix and she uses her voice in a certain way. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not the biggest Mariah Carey fan, but I will give her credit. The remixes that made her way more tolerable in places. Say that. the rawness that she displays and how it still comes off to make her versatile. Because like to do songs with Bono, she can really take herself to different levels when she has the right material. And I think that's one of the things about her that gets kind of, she wasn't just an R&B thing. Versatility. His ability to combine different eras because try to do something funky, do some new jack swing, do something 70s. He has a good ear for balance and channeling that. That's uncanny. Not a lot of people can pull it off. Not a lot of people can pull off what he does. He's got a good strong melodic for melody. Groups, Temptations, Whispers, the OJs, the Four Tops, Jackson 5, New Edition, Stylistics, Delphonics, the Manhattans, the Shy Lights, Hail Melvin, the Blue Notes. Just talking groups because I'm not talking about bands because I look groups differently. Tavares, After Seven, Boys to Men, Jodeci. Who else could I pick on? DeBarge, Silvers, Five Star Steps, Enchantment, Bloodstone, Intruders, Spinners. Say the Supremes, you say the Emotions, you say In Vogue, Pointer Sisters, LaBelle, Martha and the Vandals. Well, that's a lot off the top. That's a lot. It's a lot. Most of them are going to come from the 60s to the 70s and a few in the 80s. And obviously the 90s is last year we stopped. Okay, Graham, I don't know who you are, so identify yourself. And Roxette's not R&B. I was asked about R&B. I don't have it no more. I used to have a Jackie Robinson baseball card. I had sports cards. Those are my most memorable. I had some rare Michael Jordan cards too. But the Jackie Robinson card was probably the first thing that, if you'd asked me, that thing probably much was the centerpiece of me. Okay, well, that's a great card. My stuff was in good condition too. That's the sad part. So, yeah, I think I had one of his cards too. I had a couple of his cards. I used to get so excited about stuff like that. I did. I had a lot of Barry Bonds cards. I remember the Barry Bonds. Uh, yeah, I had Bonds rookie card, and it was worth $15 at once upon a time. I don't know what it'd be worth. That was a long time ago. Clemens cards. I had all that stuff. I was a hardcore tops collector once upon a time. And when I had my basketball cards, funny thing about basketball cards, I grew up back in the day, you could get those cards like in Frosted Flakes boxes because they were in 3D. They weren't that big of a deal. There was some players that fetched more, but it wasn't that big of a deal. I bet you do. That's worth a chunk right there. Basketball cards are going to be worth more now, and some football ones, but it's not the same as it once was. That was a whole different era. Used to get the chewing the gum with it. Different era. I did, but things changed. Things changed. Let me give you an example. There was a time pre 94, I had some OJ cards and they were worth a good coin. And you know how that turned out, regardless of where anybody comes down on it. That's the reality. So, and then of course, with everything that happened with Bonds and McGuire and Clemens and Sosa, you can't give them, that stuff became pennies on the dollar. So, but there are still cards. I remember the Shaq rookie card I once had. It was worth 20 something. Just depends. Obviously, if you got like some rare ancient Ty Cobb or Roger Hornsby or something like that card, you'll get crazy money. They had different rare cards they had. It was a different era. They have to. They have no choice. Well, y'all just need two different situations. Y'all can make moves because y'all closer than we are. Now, see, y'all getting to the second round can mean the Super Bowl. Us getting to a second round means an early exit. You can't compare the two. We have a better quarterback. I don't know about the coach. Now, see that Sean McDermott and LaFleur, I don't know. If they want to, but if he's going to have to waste his way away, I wouldn't blame him if he did step. And I'm saying this being straight up. What are they doing to show him that they're trying to win? Yeah, one thing you go to the AFC Championship game, he had to watch that. Then they lost the next year in overtime. Then they got smashed by Cincinnati, and then they lost at home to Kansas City. He drops the ball. I don't know how many years you're going to keep going through that. You keep coming up short. And it's sometimes you don't have but so much lifetime. Because Josh Allen, they lost 6 straight years. Well, I would be too. I was on a Bills forum on Facebook, and I told him, I said, look, I'm a Bills fan, but Mahomes is a better quarterback. He's smarter. A lot of the game ain't about your talents, how smart you are. See, it's like what I just got to saying about Paul Pierce and Tatum. Tatum might be a better scoring machine, put up more numbers, right? He ain't smarter. There's a difference. Yeah, because you don't last forever in a day and you take them hits. He been around 5 years and he been in and lost since he been in 4 straight years of getting knocked out. Three of them to Kansas City, once to Cincinnati. You start to get old quick. I'm telling you, you can't fool around and squander opportunity. You don't give us so many chances. I don't, that's all I ever do in my sports takes. If you ever listen to what I say on here, I tell you all the time, I watch Dan Marino, okay? That's one of the greatest quarterbacks I ever saw in my life. He went to one Super Bowl, okay? Stop acting like you're getting fooled by Brady. I'm going to address that in just a second. You get fooled by Brady, you get fooled by Mahomes. Those are rare exceptions. That's not the norm. Peyton Manning fooled you. The reality is what Aaron Rodgers went through, or what Brett Favre, Russell Wilson went through. That's more of a reality for a great, great quarterback. You might get two chances if you're lucky. It's not guaranteed, you know. So I wish people would stop having this delusion. My sister-in-law, who's a Bills fan, get me on him. Well, you can tell her I'm a Bills fan too, and you're correct because he gets it. See, and I did. I haven't done a video about it, but I'll say it on here. It's just live. We can talk, and you can tell I said this. Every generation era, we can always say this is watered down, this is that, right? There's always one cat who gets it. And what I mean by getting it is that they know how to finish and win. Now in the NBA, you've been privy to see LeBron and Steph. So that's like the bird magic thing. There's always, or Shaq and Duncan and Kobe and all that, okay, and Dwayne Wade. You can throw that in there, okay. But usually what happened in the 90s with Jordan, that's more the norm. Usually what happened with Serena Williams, that's one. With Tiger Woods, that's one. What you've seen in tennis with Nadal, Federer, Jokic, and you can throw Andy Murray at the end, but Andy Murray wasn't quite in that big four, but they were foursome, but it was mainly the main three. That sometimes it happens. But the reality is there's always going to be one person that you're chasing, and everybody else is kind of like Phil Mickelson. Now, Phil did win some. And let me say this, if Phil Mickelson came almost in any other era but Tiger Woods' era, he might be considered top 5 to 10 greatest golfer ever. It's just that he happened to come around the era of Tiger Woods. And sometimes you go against somebody who just be better one step ahead of you and two shoestrings tied better than you. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes you got it where there's one shoe ahead of you and two shoestrings tied better than you. And that's the difference, but that's a big difference. So you're not guaranteed to win anything. Mahomes won this year with that receiving core. Tell your sister-in-law I said that. With that core. You put Josh Allen with that receiving core, Sean McDermott would have been fired. Everybody would have been fired. And no the enemy. Come on now. Sooner or later, you gotta give Mahomes his due. Come on now. Come on now. Yeah, you can use that quote. One shoe better, two shoestrings tied better than you, and that puts you over. But sometimes you tripping off your own hype. That's what that means. Translation, you be tripping off of your own foot in your own shadow. You're good, but you ain't as good as you think you are. And Josh Allen, I saw Sean McDermott had that banner up there, world champion banner. I said, look, you need to stop talking and stop daydreaming and get to business. You got to stop playing hero ball and you got to get the fundamentals. Mahomes then showed you he can beat you different ways. I don't know how you're going to beat that. And the scary part is he's not even trying to beat you with his main deal, where he really wants to go crazy and have one of those years where he can just let him have a Randy Moss Brady situation. And what will he do with that year? Now, this is without Tyreek Hill. He's got 2 rings. Okay. Do what I need to say anything else without Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill, in some places, I forgot what sports show I was watching. They had him as one of the 4 greatest receivers ever already. Some arguing top 10. He's definitely top 15 to 20 right now. He got a ring and he came up big. And his stats are going, if he plays like at this level, yeah, it won't be far fetched to say. But could you imagine how many people can tell a top tier flight, see ya, I'll be all right? That's a heck of a quarterback and Mr. Mahomes. Josh Allen can't afford to do that. And when you think about it, I saw only 2 guys do what Mahomes have done with that, and that was Mr. Joe Montana and Mr. Tom Brady, with what I call subpar receivers, guys that were, second. Freddie Solomon was really good, but he wasn't. He had Dwight Clark as a tight end, but when he got Jerry Rice, but that he had already established himself by the time he got Rice. Brady, of course, with Troy Brown and them. But those guys weren't. I mean, he had Moss for 1.5 years, really one strong year. Wes Walken came in development. Okay, Walken wasn't that dude. Julian Edelman, that came after the fact. He was already established as Brady. He had already had multiple rings, trips, etc. Aaron Hernandez, you know how that turned out, and Gronk. But think about it. People got to understand this. So handsome guys who get it. It's not always about how talented you are or perception. Because Peyton Manning was talented, but a lot of people like Caleb. Caleb, he's got a nice frame, good arm, athletic. So he got a chance. It just depends on where he goes. Depends on who uh it depends on where he go. I tell you that all the time. That's why I don't really go, because again, it depends on who picks you up. Well, I'll tell you why. I like him, but the Bears don't know nothing about quarterbacks. Because obviously with Justin Fields, I mean, they they're not used to it, because it's like how do I say this? Hmm. You ever had a buddy who only like sloppy fat girls, and if a nice woman came around, or a woman that was friendly and she was nice looking, and he just kind of like froked out because he had been subjective to certain things? Well, that's the Bears. They don't know nothing about a legit strong type tier quarterback. They only know about just anybody being back there, and it's why they where they are. They don't really do well with that. It's almost like kryptonite. They're shocked. They're in a state of shock. They should have been very happy to have Justin Fields. I There was nothing wrong with him. It's just that they're not used to a guy who has potential. And I don't know if how they're gonna do with Caleb. This is not exactly an organization that has bombarded with great quarterbacks. It's kind of like Detroit's situation. Ironically, the division you're in, Green Bay and Minnesota, know something about top flight quarterbacks. But them Lions and them Bears, there's a reason why they behind, been so long before they didn't done anything. It's 40 years since the Bears won a Super Bowl, and the way they are about their quarterback and what they do, it's going to be another 40. I mean, they did get to some playoff success. Don't make no mistake about it. But, they don't really. Well, all you have to do is look up their postseason successes. That should answer what I'm saying. And we love a short king. Who's a short king? But we'll see how it play out, though. I think your second part. I don't know what you're talking about, Ryan Davis. I wish people would introduce themselves because if y'all trolls, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, but y'all don't need a lot though. That's the thing. Y'all don't need a lot. I told you before that was a winnable game in Frisco, and you get the fine because you can beat Dallas. The problem is, can you beat Frisco? Can you beat Philadelphia? Yeah, Caleb's coming out. He playing. But the thing with y'all is that y'all not that far off. I keep telling you every day, y'all not that far off. Yeah, I give you a couple of years. At the year after this year, when I think y'all can be in the Super Bowl. Maybe not this coming year, but Frisco and Philly on notice. Fool around, you have to deal with Mr. Jordan Love. They better stop playing around this year. One of them teams gonna take a major dive, and y'all gonna be the next team up. I'll laugh if Dallas gets a bad hangover from the way y'all put that smack down on them. I'll crack up because somebody gonna fall off this year. It's either gonna be Dallas or Frisco or Philly. One of them gonna fall off bad, and y'all gonna benefit from it. Y'all the ones that's gonna benefit because y'all played better as the season went on. So we'll see. I'm watching. And see, the NFC's got a problem too because it's just a matter. You got Green Bay coming up. People gonna be watching Atlanta this year. That's gonna be interesting. What did Minnesota just do? So there's gonna be a few interesting storylines, but um, I think New Orleans. That's disappointing. I don't know what Derek Carr gonna do. I don't know. They should be better than they were. Baker Mayfield, did he take the money? Or did they? That's gonna be interesting how that turned out. So, but we're gonna find out this year with the NFC. Is it as pitiful, or is there just only 4 teams that are legit? We're gonna find out. We know the AFC got it on lock though. You do know that, and that's all you need to know. You want to watch some real football with multiple teams, you come to the AFC. Just saying. If you say so. If you say so. I don't see where it's interesting because until Chargers can hang with them, I mean, you saying that because Harbaugh's, I mean, because, yeah, that don't mean nothing. And I know you'll bring up the fact that he coached Cap. Well, Cap and Herbert are two different quarterbacks. Herbert technically has got more overall poise and skill set, but Herbert also has a tendency to fold like a chair. So I don't know. And he gonna have to change his old habits fast. He can sling, but sometimes he gets caught out there gun slinging. I don't know. I think the Raiders they all could be interesting, but at the end of the day, do I think anybody's going to be Kansas City in that division? No. How many coaches have gotten fired since Kansas City won back-to-back rings? That should tell you everything you need to know. Now you can shut me down if you want to. Chargers got a new coach. Raiders went to a new coach. Broncos with a new coach. Got rid of their quarterback. Raiders got rid of their quarterbacks. How much interesting? Do tell. Oh, the people don't think I'll be watching. You bring it to me, I'll give you a take. I'll give you a hot take. I'll watch. Because it's a bachelor pad, okay? It's what I used to say about the American League Central in baseball. I'll be knowing bachelor pads. Bachelor pads mean that you're a bachelor. You're doing what you want to do. You're a playboy. Kansas City's the playboy. They ain't got nothing to worry about at all. Mandan camped out for 6 AFC championship games in a row. Let that sink in. He's almost at the halfway point of Tom Brady's AFC runs. That's 4 less than LeBron's 10 straight or 8 straight, 9 straight. Come on now. That ain't even normal. I mean, you going across sports lines, that's how dominant this is. Oh. Just saying. But you tell me what you want. Okay. Okay. No, I never was. Please come on now. You know he's a never was in mine. As a matter of fact, can I say senior citizen already? Headed towards old folks home? Come on now. Come on now. Aside from that flare pass that he throws, which is his bread and butter pass, there is nothing about him that's memorable. Yeah. The thing about it is Belichick ain't had nothing to do with him being a whack. How throwing all them picks and taking them blindsided hits that he took and hanging on to the rock too long. He just says it's not that good. And if he was so good, why are you in your third, fourth year and you're a backup to Trevor Lawrence? And you're not as half as Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has got his flaws, but Trevor Lawrence has got a better, yeah, And Belichick ain't get that wrong. He gave up on the kid. He did give up on him because he put him with different people because he didn't see nothing there. Because he was the anti Brady. He didn't learn. He had a few decent games, but you know, he can blame him all he want. That man gave him a chance. Man, he stunk it up. And if he had stayed in New England, they probably were headed towards a 5-6 win season. When you get pulled for Zappa, you suck, okay? Please. He sucked. I don't even talk about him. And he a bigot too. I don't really talk about his clan's ways. Please. Tom Murray or what Fox? Murray or Fox? Who better? Murray. Which Murray and which Fox are you talking about? Which Fox? Because I want to answer that question. Murray or Fox? I'm trying to understand. You're talking about the Jonte Murray and DeAndre Fox, which? Because I want to make sure Zion's gonna win that. Even though Banchero is nice, but Zion's gonna win that because Zion's got more of an upside. You know, if Zion emerges and he, balls out, he's gonna win that. I just think how intelligent he was, high IQ. How he was able to defend on anybody, how he could pick up on the other side, just couldn't do it on offense. Defense, he could pick up anything. If his offensive game was as half as good as his defense, he would have ranked a lot higher all the time. I'm not buying him going there. If he's smart, he won't. He's very injury prone. He's got a big foot. And what I mean by that, he's a big boy. So he's very injury prone. And his body is starting to kind of work for and against him. It's working for him to a certain stretch, but his body is also giving out on him. I wouldn't do it if I was him. Because if he's coming back to compete for a title, let that be what you come back for. But if you're just coming back to get some jewelry around your neck and not on your finger, then you're just wasting your time. Sometimes I think he be just talking a lot hot air. I do think he was headed for another MVP though. He ain't got hurt, and I do think he was putting up a big year. I do think he really had a chance this year because Philly is a different team without him. Without him, they just another average team getting by. With him, they look like they were going to be about 25 games over 500. And I don't think I'm wrong when I say that. Much as I like Maxxy and Tavares does all right, but they're not the same team. But Cats, I think they got a chance to win that goal. It's good for their business brand. That's why they go. It's about branding. It's not about the country. It's not the country no more because there's really no country. So that's how I feel about that. Oh wow, you talking about the basketball player or the football player? If you're talking about the basketball player, I would probably say that his outside J was better than give him credit for. He had a little bit of he had a little bit there. He was actually pre Medea too, but it wasn't like, you know, he had a alter ego. I'd have to say Larry Johnson because I thought he got more out of it. Webber's NBA career was kind of a disappointment to me. Had incredible hands, had the skill set. It's just that I don't know. Sometimes like he was like in a trance. I don't know. Didn't seem like when you snap the fingers to go, he just didn't quite get to the next. Yeah. Well, I'm about ready to show you what I think of you. Why do I attract these kind of people? The vulgar that comes here. I just don't understand. Mark Price. Bibby had like a couple years of window, but Price was a better player. And I don't, you know, Bibby didn't quite get to the next. Mark Price had some moments. Mark Price could do what Bibby could do. As a matter of fact, if the Sacramento had Mark Price against the Lakers, they probably win that series because Mark Price would give Derek Fisher fits. CP3 in the regular season. CP3. You gotta remember something. It's because his postseason sucks so bad why he ain't in the top, considered top 5 or 6 ever. KG was a more athletic cat, but CP3 had the goods as far as being a point. It's just his postseason sucks. That's all. That's the only reason why he doesn't get more juice. That's it. I kid you not. And I'm not joking. I like KJ's athleticism, but CP3 was a better point guard. Clyde Drexler, Rick Barry. Are you talking about Rick Barry? Because you got to specify which Barry you're talking about. There's Walter Barry, there's Rick Barry. Which Barry? It ain't no contest. It's Rick Barry in a blowout. Rick Barry was a better pure scorer. Drexler was a great attack player and he could shoot. But give me Rick Barry. Rick Barry, Rick Barry was like another level. I'm gonna say it like this: in the pantheon of great white boys in the NBA, Jerry West, Larry Bird, Rick Barry's like in between that. He's that's what he's cut. Rick was a freak. I love Clyde. I love Clyde's athleticism and stuff. But Rick Barry had such a coldness. He could just go another level. I never felt Clyde could do that. Clyde was smooth, athletic. Rick could shoot that rock. Rick could shoot that thing. I told you, we put Rick Barry with Steph and Clay. You think Durant was something. Remember, there was no 3-point line when Rick Barry was scoring like he did. Put him in today's game. Let him play with Golden State with Steph and see what I'm talking about. Yeah. Why? That's some big surprise. If you're going by athleticism, I'll give you Clyde. If you're going by the tangibles, purity of shooting and the free throw shooting and the different spots, it's Rick Barry. I know Rick's not a popular pick because he got white people tripping off of him. And he almost like he's denounced his whiteism or something. But no, Rick Barry moved me, yo. I love Clyde too. Mind you, I saw Clyde in college. I saw Clyde in Portland and when he came back to Houston. But there was always something about his game to me. He didn't finish. I thought he was a great talent. But see, Clyde Drexler's kind of like the Jason Tatum thing. Put somebody who knows how to finish it up, you get those results. That's why he could hang with Jordan in terms of athleticism, but as far as the tip for tat, wear you down, Jordan was gonna wear him down. And he had him beat. And that's not saying that Clyde ain't a bad tight athlete because he's a bad dude, but I'm just saying there are reasons why sometimes people don't come up short. Rick Barry was bad. Shoot, if I could put Rick Barry with this Golden State team, they going to the finals. They will beat Denver because that's what Steph need, and a guy who could score and make it happen. He said it himself. He said, if we played today, we'd be better than we played. And I believe him.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
It wouldn't work because Gary's type of talent wouldn't play with another perimeter player or a perimeter player that would have to be what we call a side piece that wasn't a high volume scorer. If you know about Gary Payton, he would need to play with somebody like, I tell you who Gary would have been scary with. He'd have been scary with Jokic. Gary would have been scary with Joel Embiid. Yeah. And Gary with Anthony Edwards. That's the correct answer. Gary with Ant. There you go. Now with SGA. Because he wasn't that type of guard. He needed somebody that was low post. Gary with Ant would be ridiculous. That would get them almost out the West. I saw Gary with Sean Kemp. Put him with Ant. You see what I'm talking about. SGA needs a guy who can shoot. SGA needs somebody like if Durant was shooting and Prime Clay, uh, shoot, if Jason Tatum ever became a runner shooter, perfect. That's what he need. He don't need another guard on the perimeter. He's a cat that can knock them shots down. Give him 15, give him 20, 25 when you gotta go worry about him. Then he can do his damage. But you put Gary with Ant. Yeah, I'm for real. That's what made me that. I told you when I do this live stream, I'll say anything, but that's how I was thinking. And I'm very sober when I said rent a shooter. I'm for real. Stop me if I'm lying. He did that turnaround fadeaway to Giddy threw in that ball, right? You put him with a shooter that can just sit there and cherry pick. Oh God, what if Carmelo Anthony was about 5, 10 years younger? He's a renter shooter. For real. That's what I'm talking about. SGA just needs a renter shooter. Some cat, that's all he do. I know it's funny, but think about it. That's what they're missing. That's what's the one thing. If you ask me right now, well, because then you think everybody's gonna be like Robert Ory, and they're not. Well, James Posey, you always have these little clones. Everybody can't knock down them shots at Eddie House. There were guys who were renter shooters. They were like broke versions of Ori, and it worked. I mean, you get if you know how to do it. That's what I miss about. That's what I miss about the '90s and the '00s. The renter shooter, the cat that don't make shots, and he ends up self checking. That's the one, and he's half and half. It happens to all of them. I mean, every shooter has that scrub moment, but it becomes when those guys who like you go, you're not Steph Curry. It's like Trey Young. He'll shoot the ball 20 times. Like look at what Brunson did the other night. Shot the ball 40 times. Come on, man. But if y'all get y'all rent a shooter, you might take some of that pressure off of you. You won't be so spent and so gassed up. Remember what you were talking about the Knicks? They need one. They do. So I'm just saying, everybody can't be Steph. Everybody can't be Prime Clay. Ray Allen. I'm just saying. But you get a guy out there who you can just bring along to just score with you. So you take a team like OKC, perfect example. The Knicks too could move up. The Heat needs a superstar to go along with those guys. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna laugh. I tell you, Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson's are renter shooters. Put them with somebody with Giannis. You see what I mean? That's what he missing. He need a renter shooter. Because Middleton only does is stand behind that 3-point line. And he clanks. He's hit and miss. Dame, you see what's happening with Dame. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, if that phrase catches on, you'll see where it came from. It came from here on this live chat. I'm telling you. You can use that line. Because I'm telling you. Well, a renter shooter is actually a term that I would say is kind of like saying a role player. That's how I would word it today. Well, how you doing? I don't go out to eat no more. I'm doing my cooking at home. Ever since COVID, I really changed, so I don't have no more favorites. What's up? How you doing? Good to see you. It depends on what you like to eat. Depends on what you like to eat. See, because I can't tell you a favorite, and it wouldn't be my favorite, wouldn't be your favorite. And I haven't been to nothing in quite a few. Last time I went to a place, they were some vegetarian spot, and what was a trip about it, there was nobody allowed in there. So I did the side takeout, did the thing. So that was just to get some coleslaw and something. I forgot what it was. It was real minimal. What's up, Go Fishing? How you doing? What's up? No, when I say rent, it's not. It doesn't fall into that category. Yeah, it depends on what you into. I would tell anybody. I don't want to recommend something that wouldn't work for you because then I might say they are 3 or 4, 5 star, and you might go in at a -1. I don't want to do that. I would go to an agent, and if you got the money, you got the receipts, take it to the main. That's the only thing I can tell you. Yeah, I don't want to ever tell nobody stuff like that. It's like if you ask me, I hate to tell people stuff that one thing about it is like when you go into certain places, you uh, might not like it because everybody got different taste palettes. You might go to a place and think they don't put enough seasoning on something. You'd be mad. So I don't want to tell nobody something that they'll be like, that place sucked. That place was garbage. You know, I always used to go to places pre-COVID, and some of them were because I just went there to spend money and kick it. It wasn't even because the place was necessarily top tier. It's because I like something I was familiar with. It's kind of like a ritual. Once upon a time, I used to like Five Guys because they had veggie burgers, which I like, but they cost a lot of money. And all the nuts they give you and them soggy fries ain't worth it. So, again, all depends on what you into. I don't want to tell nobody something that they just have a worse. So, it all depends on what you want to eat, what you into. I just at this stage, I don't really find any place that compelling because most of them, unless you're going somewhere distinctive. Now, depends what kind of money you're looking to spend. I did go a long time ago. I tell you, a good Japanese restaurant, especially if you like the show. When they put on a show, it's very entertaining. It's kind of like the broke Benihana's. But her Benihana sucks right now, so I wouldn't recommend that. But, depends on what your bag is like, what your tummy and what you're ready to spend. But I don't think there's too many places where I spend a lot of money at, so I wouldn't do that. Just me though. Everybody different. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's what I used to do. When I used to go out, there'd be a theater, and if that's what you into, depends on what you're into. I made a real simple veggie meal with chickpeas and mush with peas, onions, lemon juice, and some pepper. Stirred it up, made a real saucy flavor. It's a real simple meal. So depends on what you're into. When I was younger back in the day, I used to mess. My grandma used to make oxtails, and she used to put them with cabbage and stuff. That's cool. That came back because a lot of it during COVID they brought back more drive-in theaters. That used to be something we did back in the day. Depends on where you live though. Sometimes some people may act kind of funny, so drive-in theaters could be a problem if people were acting unfunny. Just saying. So I don't go to the movies no more. I stopped doing that years ago. And I ain't really after I went to pretty much saw Black Panther, but I stopped going 2019. So after lockdown stuff, I just watch movies direct and they come out quick anyway. So I ain't missing much. It costs too much anyway. So I just ain't really felt like seeing nothing. I saw Creed 3, which was alright. All them sequels and all that stuff get old after a while, so I ain't really feel like I'm missing nothing with the movies. I'm not really. I can stay on YouTube and watch different things. I don't really feel like I'm missing much of entertainment these days. A lot of stuff is just kind of, I don't know. Oh, hell no. All right. It's getting quiet kind of now, so I'm looking to see if anybody's coming through. People getting quiet on me. If I don't come back and talk, I'm waiting. Trying to see if anybody's here because it's gone quiet again. So if you want to talk, let me know. guess anybody coming through because I'm not hearing nothing. Anybody said nothing, so I'll give y'all a few more minutes until I hear something. I'm gonna parlay it up. Okay, somebody finally came back. Okay, I'm glad somebody did because I'll get ready to roll. Um, well, the judges. That's what it comes down to. If they decide to actually, the problem is the judges can make a win. They can act funny. I have more problems with the judges. Like if they have figure skating or something like that, somebody look like they won, but they'll find a way to say they didn't win. Especially the Winter Olympics. Those are the worst. Those are the worst. Yeah, you just had said it to me earlier, and I addressed that. I said that he's at a stage in his career where it's about what do you really want? Because I'm like, if you're competing for a championship, you may have to give yourself a rest. Your body's taking a beating, and it's like, how many more chances will he get? So you know, because he's a great talent, and we want to see how this story concludes. Will it mean a championship? I don't know. You gotta remember something. Jokic has got a ring. Giannis got a ring. So that's what this cat's missing. Yeah, but they got smacked by Dallas though. Remember, Luca put that hurt on their butt. The long win streak came to an end. But they still gonna be a problem. I mean, they still gonna be a problem. We're gonna see. He's done a great job. He's done a fantastic job. Nobody saw them being that good. Nobody. So yep, very talented dude. And he's a top flight coach. And I'm gonna tell you something, if they get their hands on that one piece that they need, they could be a problem next couple of years too. Because next year they will definitely be a playoff team, and then in 2 years, Green gets 2 more years in his belt. I'm one of those kind of people. I think 3 to 5 year plan, and I think that with a coach like Udoka, yeah, you'll see some real inroads. They're gonna be a handful next year. And 2 years from now, you ain't gonna have to deal with them. I'm telling you, because that man can coach. Because no one looks at Jalen Green and none of them guys and think, "Oh my God, I gotta deal with these guys." And those guys are gonna be a 500 team with what I call seasoning and a veteran and a guy. Because Dylan Brooks ain't that dude. But think about it. When they get that other guy and they get that seasoning under them, you ain't gonna want to place the Rockets. They're gonna be a problem. Because it's not so much about talent as how much he coaches them. That's what a great coach. That's what a guy who knows how to motivate can do. And he gets anything out of Green. He gets him the half of Tatum eye shot. They're gonna be a problematic team. You'll see what I'm talking about. You ain't gonna see it right now because they still Green. Oh yeah. That's why if you're LeBron James, you know it's now or never. You ain't gonna have but a couple more years, tops, tops, and you've been a ninth seed the last 2 or 3 tops. That league ain't going nowhere. It's getting younger. Y'all getting old. And AD, y'all better get somebody to come in there and can score. They're gonna have some problems. I'm telling you. I'm seeing it right now. You're gonna get old real fast. That's what the Clippers got to worry about. That's what Golden State's got to worry about. I'm telling you, all the people that you grew up with, they senior citizens. They getting into the old folks' home. I'm telling you. Because Jokic is only 28. He got about 4 or 5 years of prime. SGA, still a puppy. Scary. Ant, puppy. Scary. Look at them teams, and you tell me where them old teams fit in. And Durant, till you get grandpa, Devin Booker, baby grandpa. I'm telling you, you seeing the out with the old, and I mean with the new out with the old. I'm telling you, it's coming. Sacramento gonna be there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If Zion gets it together, I didn't name you 5 teams right there in Dallas with Lucas kid. So that's scary in the West, not in the East. Halfway. Not scary in the East. Scary in the West, though, yeah. Not the East. The East is joke. Because anybody can get hot there and anybody can go cold. And I'm not sold on nobody in the East. It's real parity over there. The West, they're young. They got a chance like Houston. We'll see. But do I think they can really flip between? Can they really flip Boston? No. Can they flip Milwaukee? That's debatable. They can beat Philly right now. Miami, you know Miami in the postseason. Don't say nothing. New York, I think New York can beat them. Cleveland, that can go a toss up. Indiana has got talent, but they need some more seasoning. They're not there. If they play defense like they against the Lakers the other night and Hasbrom and Shock 'em come up big and Miles Turner play like that, but they're not consistent. They're not consistent. That's the only problem. So Orlando's kind of like a Houston situation in a couple years, yes. Now, and they could make a jump a bit, but I think that they're really in the upper echelons with Boston and Milwaukee and them, and if Jim Bede's playing fully, no, no. But they're the kind of team on the next ringer you don't have to play. Yeah, well, this is a now or never. This is now or never. Because they got them old men. It's now or never. I'm glad y'all giving a 2 thumbs up. Y'all must see something I don't see, because that's if Denver falls off the cliff, I can't see it. But I will tell you this much: if Kawhi does that and he wins, then suddenly he becomes in the conversation somewhere in that 16th through 23rd greatest player ever, because it wins and another Finals MVP. Yeah, then the Kawhi Leonard chapter would start again, and he would pass Durant. That's the only way, but I don't see it though. I don't see it. I don't see it. They're not consistent enough. I'm not sold on the Clippers. I like Tyronn Lue a lot. I think he's one of the best coaches, but I'm not sold on it. I'm not sold on it. So unless y'all see something I don't see, y'all might. And I might have some blinders on, but I don't think I do. I don't see it. Well, he's had enough time to tie his hair up. And why don't he tie his shoes up and get back on the court and see what he's doing and save the season? I'm not really trying to see what he's doing, because too many times to me he spends too much time indulging himself. I'm not paying no attention to that. I still remember when he was up there trying to Mac on Rihanna. I still remember when he was up there trying to say that his game was up there with Shaq and Will Chamberlain's, or some Shaq and Elijah one. I'm not paying that turkey no mind. I want to see him get on the floor and make a statement, get past the second round. Let's do let's do that, Joel Embiid. Let's see what you do against the Celtics. Let's see what you bring in. Put your big boy pants on and see what you got. I ain't trying to hear his fashion statements or his we're in the process, we're in the motions, we gonna get our head. I mean, come on now. He might be starring for a TV role. You never know, maybe a movie. Because at this stage, that's where he's headed. I'm not seeing anything that's telling me that he's going to win a chip. It's a shame, too. It's a shame, too. And that he got hurt this year, because I do believe he would have won another MVP. But will he have a Lamar Jackson kind of situation where he'll flirt with all this stuff, but he won't finish the deal? Yeah, he's not looking good. It's not looking good. And I like his game, too. Inside out, but he just can't stay healthy. And I don't think he's got the depth to win. I just don't. Because from a skill perspective, he should be Moses Malone, but with 2.0, but even better skill set. Should be. And with his skill set, he should be in the same conversation with Iverson and Barkley, Philadelphia Legends, and Dr. J. That's the man. That's the wall he's going to. But I don't know. I don't trust him. He should be on that. He should be on that pantheon, or on that Mount Rushmore. And I don't know, because he's the analytics kingpin center. He gives you inside out. He can shoot free throws. He's got, but he just don't get the job done. Goes back to Paul Pierce came out today and said, "I'm more clutch than Joel Embiid." Would you argue? Would you disagree? Think about it. Because until you can be a finisher, you're gonna be seen as a paper champion. You're a stat patter, but what are you? I mean, I watched those games last year, and James Harden took over some games, and Embiid just stood there and watched. And Harden didn't even want to be there. And Harden ain't even that kind of dude. So, just saying. We'll see, though. Prime Charles, because I can make the case that when he was in Philadelphia, he was in the top 2 or 3. When we're not talking about popularity and we get past Bird and Magic, and where Jordan was taking over, coming along on the offensive side, Barkley was in that argument with those guys. You know, so Barkley was a more effective. KG's peak and prime in Minnesota, he wasn't seeing Shaq. He wasn't seeing Tim Duncan. You can make the case Jason Kidd was in that argument. Vince Carter. But Charles was more effective closer, I think. He's more prime. Dominique. Because of what he had to work with. I mean, let's just keep it real. He had to. Doc Rivers was no Magic Johnson, and they had nothing really that was memorable. Tree Rollins and stuff, and no, they had some decent pieces, but they weren't. But and Worthy made himself great as time went on. But come on now, Dominique, come on. Nick was something else. But I like them both though. But I have to give it to Dom. Zoe, because Zoe could play defense and he actually had an offensive game. That's what Dikembe didn't have. When Tumbo had any kind of real offensive game, he probably have a ring. Because he was in more important games. He was as important games as though for a minute. When Denver beat Seattle 30 years ago in that AC being a number 1 seed, he had some important games. He just didn't score. He was in the finals against Shaq, got bammed on. He had important games. He just wasn't a finisher. And when Atlanta used to get to the second round all the time. So he did have postseason success. He had as much success as Zoe. Zoe got the ring in 06. But Mutombo had as much, but he didn't have the offensive game. That's the difference right there. That was a great question about Worthy and Wilkins, so I like that one. I really did. Had to think back there because I had to think about when James really kicked into his next gear. And about the mid 80s, that's when he got into another gear. But I still have to give it to Dom. Just his dunking, like his games. He came up with some big games with Phoenix. He was obviously the All Star game is what most people are going to talk about. And he has some spring in him. He was a talented player. But he came around in an era where if you're gonna be white, you got to be like Larry Bird, or you could be athletic, or you could be like Chris Mullins or something, but you had to be something else. And he didn't quite get to that point. He wasn't quite that dude, but he was an athletic cat. He was talented, but he played in Saudi Arabia basically. So them teams that don't get that much airplay. So it's hard to say because I liked him in the postseason. He had some big time shots. Nothing really, just his give and go with Karl Malone. I just think he just, he was when you watch Stockton, it was almost like watching a rerun over and over again. His bread and butter move, and he could shoot. It wasn't so much about his moment. The only moment that really stood, there was one moment. I said it back in '98. The Knicks tried a 4-corner trap on the backcourt, and he got out of it. He dribbled out of it. They did that to Jordan, and that was the only time I seen someone do that to besides Jordan was John Stockton. He was probably playing great basketball. Then he was a fundamental cat. Make no mistake about it. It's as talented as a point guard you're gonna get. Very linear, very fluid. You know, uh, and for that time in that era. Remember, that time in that era is different now. So It's different. None in particular. I like why. I mean, he had some games that I watched him play, but there's nothing favorite about him. He could dribble. He had spring in him, and he played hard. But can't sit there and say I'm not gonna sit there and make up say it was something that nothing distinctive. But he worked hard though. He definitely, you know, you sat there and watched him because of his height. You get your feelings hurt. He go by you. It was kind of odd though when him and Manute Bowl played on the same team. Though that was comical. Remember that. But all my Tom Chamber moments is pretty much in Phoenix. You know, all right. There's a lot of them. I mean, when he won the first ring against the Knicks, when he helped beat the Nets, came against Detroit, he Cleveland against Miami. Yeah, he had big games. The shot against the Lakers, Shaq came out on him. Two of them. The one in '04, Fisher hit that shot, and Shaq said one lucky shot deserves another. And then the shot against Shaq when Shaq was with Phoenix, and he hit that 3-pointer. Yeah, he played great against the Nets. He had a game where he had some big time shots. He had a couple bank shots that I really liked. I mean, Duncan is one of those guys that you don't. He fills up a stat line, but people don't really give him his due because he was boring. He put you to sleep, but that's why he put you to sleep because he was working you. He's like a boxer who works your ribs, and it might not show in terms of the ooh and ah, but you're gonna be sore for next 5 weeks. He works you, and Duncan did it where it wasn't always pretty, but it worked. So those were some of my moments by him. And I always marvel how he ran against Phoenix when D'Antoni they were running that offense, and then and San Antonio beat him. That's when I thought that was the peak and prime of D'Antoni's offense. That sky hook 40 years ago when he passed Wilt, and the sky hook to beat the Celtics in '85. I liked it when he redeemed himself. He had those moments. He redeemed himself. You know, he was a clutch player. Those were some moments that I always remember. But that '85 against the Celtics, that's where he really. Mhm. Probably when they beat Utah in the Western Conference Final because he came up big. I mean, he was a gamer. Obviously, you'll think about him winning with the Heat, but his best days were in Seattle. You know, and when he's utilized the right way, he was scary. He's one of those point guards. He could back you down and wear you down. Yeah, they did. They were. Jerry Sloan's one of the greatest coaches ever, to me. I mean, they were fundamentally textbook. They just was lacking a center, and they didn't have a. And Hornacek, Carl, and Stockton came, but they didn't have that center. They were missing that other dude. But you can't find too many teams that were more well coached and balanced than them. Fundamentals 101. They played basketball at a high IQ, physical, beat you up, but yet they were fundamental. They didn't make a lot of mistakes. They were frustrating because they didn't just, they weren't making a joke of themselves. Yeah, but he wasn't a difference maker. They needed a center. They never got that guy. They tried to get Ronnie Cycler from Miami in '98, and he refused because Ostertag was a scrub. He was a bum. He was beneath bum and scrub. He was a never was. Greg Foster too. Them guys suck. That's what hurt them. You know. But that was a strong team, and that's one of the best duos ever. Yep. Oster Tag was horrible. I remember Shaq slapped him because I forgot what happened. And he was dingy after that. But he was dingy anyway. Yeah, Ronnie Cycli from the beach, yo. He ain't gonna try to go to no Salt Lake City. Most cats didn't want to go there no way. It was too white and too, you know, they didn't want that scene. So, and I think it cost them a ring. I know it did. I think Utah beats Chicago with a legit center. I really do. Yes. And being a brother back then, the sun was really down. So, all right. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready to call it a night. It's been great being up on here. Well, yeah, he, because what was he gonna do? I mean, you black, you stand out there, yo. So it wasn't like he gonna go to the club. That's one of the worst places that most cats talked about when they would go because there wasn't nothing to do. Or Rasheed Wise talked about it. They had to make their own drinks. There wasn't much going on there. Very white bread. If you're into that Mormon, unless you're into that Mormon thing, you about 15 wives to one house or something. But I'm just saying they had some real, you know what they did. Anyway, I'm gonna give it a roll. Great seeing you. Peace, the best. Thanks for everyone that showed up. Great questions as always. Let's do it again tomorrow. And stay safe, stay warm. Right on. Appreciate y'all. All right, I'm out. Peace.